Nat Sherman is the leading American luxury brand in premium cigars. From the classic range of the Metropolitan and Host selections to the transformative Timeless collection, their elegant Sterling and limited edition offerings, or the bold and commemorative 1930 blend Andy Polka, everyone has the opportunity to enjoy a Nat Sherman experience. Family owned and operated since 1930, Nat Sherman's tradition of innovation and commitment to excellence reminds us why America's Nat Sherman brand is known as tobacconist to the world.
Love to Hate, the podcast that asks the question, what do you love to hate?
You are a smelly pirate hooker. And I hate your ass face!
Do you love it?
No!
Do you hate it?
Oh, yes! Yes! You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard! I'm charting your general direction!
No more foreplay.
Hey kids, it's Monday. It's time for another edition of Love to Hate, your favorite podcast with my friend
Brandon Luna.
And I'm Philip Pullman. How you been, Brandon?
I've been all right.
Yeah?
Holidays, whatever.
Were you busy?
I was pretty busy, yeah.
Lots of family come in?
Yeah.
What do you think of the weather? It's been kind of cold. You liking the weather?
I'm liking the weather. I'm not sure how I feel about this small talk we got going on here.
Oh, you don't like that? I mean, I was trying to. I didn't know what else to say, so I just thought I'd make small talk, ask you about the weather, how you're doing, how are the kids.
I'm not really a big fan of small talk.
No? Yeah, no, neither am I. I absolutely hate it. It's like this obligation. It's something we fall into quite naturally, and I don't know why it is. I don't know if this is that transition that we feel we have to make in order to ask questions or get to the point of the conversation. Maybe it's a Texas thing. Maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know that they suffer from small talk as much in some of the Eastern states. There, it's more direct, to the point.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to ask you a question. And, a lot of people have said, people have said they prefer texting over phone calls because it's easier to get to the point. Because you can send a text and be like, hey, what's the price of this? Whereas if I call you,
you got to deal with that small talk.
Yeah, like, hey, Brandon, how you been? Hey, oh, by the way, hey, how much is this box of what? That there's this build up to it because you feel like you have to say these things prior to asking a question.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know why that is, but I do find it annoying. And I find when I'm in lines, it gets annoying.
Oh, yeah.
And
when you get that, you're standing in line waiting for to check out to get something, and let's say you're waiting to get the ticket for the movie, or you're at the grocery line, and the guy next to you is like, "So you got some Oreos there, huh?"
Yeah, it's like, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Or the people checking you out, just making that, hey, how are you today? I just check me out, and I don't know. Maybe as I get older, I'm becoming more.
I find if you say really weird stuff when they ask you those questions, they usually leave you alone. Like say, yeah, I've got Oreos there. What I usually do is I take one side off, I lick it and stick it to my nipples, and walk around naked. Then they kind of just don't talk to you anymore. See,
but right there, then you and I would bond because I'd be like, really? I'm like, what do you do with the other one? I'm just like, now I'm curious. This guy's weird. I had a guy I worked with, and he said the way he would figure out who he wanted to talk to at a party is when he would get introduced to somebody or meet them. He'd say, if dolphins are so smart, how come they still use typewriters? And
that's a good one. I like that.
And he said, just based on their reaction, I knew if I could talk to him or not. Mm-hmm. But I've just found the older I get, the more frustrated I am, which is like, look, just check me out. Just ring up my purchases. Don't ask me a lot of questions. I don't need it. I don't need to do this history thing. Can we just give me the price?
Right.
Just ring them up. That's all I need. Like you said, standing in line, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you excited to see the movie? Like, just why are you talking to me?
Right.
Why? What is it? A nervousness we have that we can't stand silences when we're around strangers?
I think that's part of it. Yeah. I think it's also the person that you're next to. So, I'm a salesman. That's what I do. Mm-hmm. Small talk is part of my my ammo, as it were. So when you're in line with a bunch of salesmen, typically they're going to start small talk because that's what they do. They're used to starting a conversation, finding out about that person, digging some information out so they can then use that against them to get a sale.
True.
So that's part of it. If you're in a line, I'll know. If I'm in line with someone and they start small talk with me and they're probing questions and trying to get information out of me, I'm like, you're in sales, aren't you? Yeah, how'd you know? Yeah, come
Yeah,
on.
because you're asking probing questions.
Exactly.
Trying to figure out income or, something like that.
Yeah. Well, you got the Hydrox there, huh? Can't afford the Oreos, huh?
Hey, I'll say this right now. I prefer Hydrox over Oreos.
I do, and they're back. You see
Are
that?
they?
They have them at Kroger.
I
It's
am
a local
so
grocery store here.
I
in
am
Dallas,
I am
Texas.
so there.
Yep, I saw them. I was like, what? They're
For
back.
for those of you listening in New Hampshire, Kurt Kindle.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I like those. I'm going to have to go pick some of those up.
Yep. Good stuff, baby.
Nice.
Yeah, but
And then
small talk is definitely annoying, and I think there's certain places that it doesn't need to happen. Number one place you do not do small talk, the restroom. If you're at a restroom,
That's true.
And it happens all the time, especially in bars. If you're at a bar and you're taking a leak, some guy will invariably come next to you and go, "Wow, see that game yesterday?" Like, really?
It's like,
Just
dude,
trying to take a piss. Come
yeah,
on.
leave me alone. I don't need to talk about. Again, and it's you've heard him talk about like on dates when there's like that awkward silence, or there's a comfortable silence where it's
Yeah.
like two people know each other so well they don't have to talk.
Mm-hmm.
They're comfortable with the silence. But I think a lot of times people are like, "Oh my God, nothing's being said. We must not be getting along," or something like that. So they filter all that in, and it's when I'll take phone calls for work. Hey, how are you? Good. Busy today? Yeah. I was wondering who handles your just
Get
no.
to the point, right? Yeah.
And that's why when I will make a business call, my first thing will be like, have I caught you at a good time? And then if you say yes, then I'm going to ask my question. If you say no, then I'm out of the conversation. But rather than like, how are you? Does anybody? That doesn't really matter. As a salesperson, that's one thing I would always tell people when I was teaching them how to make sales calls. Don't ask how are you,
Right.
because you run the risk of A, it sounds insincere. If you say it too fast, whatever, it just comes across as hokey. And B, they know you don't care. So just get permission to speak to them. Find out, is this a good time?
Right, right. And the how are you invariably, if you get the wrong person at the wrong time, they're going to, you know what, my day's been shitty. This happened, that happened, that. And then I get a 10-minute conversation with someone where you have to listen to them.
Right.
Either you're listening at that point or you're on your phone texting going, yeah, yeah, oh, that's horrible, yeah. You know, it just...
I did that once. I didn't even notice it was April 15th, and I was at a shop and ringing the guy up and just like, how's it going? Just offhanded.
Mm-hmm.
I got 30 minutes of his rant against the IRS, and I knew everything about his tax problems and his in-laws and inheritance. Like, you could have just said it's a shit day.
Right, right.
So it was just like I really didn't know. So I'm really trying to get away from that, and just it was funny. I went into the optometrist's office the other day and was like, you having a good day? I was like, no. I was like, boom, just shut it down. Like let's not do this. But I feel like we're probably more guilty of this in Texas than anything. Where it's again, I can't just come up to you and go, "Hey, Brandon, where's this?" Mm-hmm. It's I've got to lead into it because I don't want to sound terse. I don't want to sound rude. That's presumptuous. I'm just like, "Where's this?" It's got to be this. Hey, amigo, how are you? It's like, no, I just need this information.
Do you think that's partly to blame on political correctness?
No, because this has gone on forever before political correctness was even a phrase.
Yeah.
I think it's just, I don't know, maybe just Southern, it's just very polite.
Yeah.
Or it's viewed as polite, whereas it's not just that directness that you get maybe on the East Coast that is seen as rude.
Yeah.
But it's really just, I'm really busy.
Yeah, exactly. You see, you're at the Nat Sherman townhouse. You see a delivery come in. Delivery guy goes, delivery, put it right there. All right, later, sign.
Yeah.
That's it. It's done.
Whereas when I get a delivery, it's the UPS guy. Hey, how's it going? Got any more delivery? And it's this thing. It's like, he doesn't care. I don't care. Let's just do business.
Right.
Let's just be done with it.
We need to just come up with things to say that would shut it down instantly. What
Yeah.
can you say possibly that would shut it down instantly?
Other than no, or, the whole thing with the nipples and the Oreos.
Right.
I don't know.
You know any Latin or anything you can just start spouting?
No.
Make people think you're from a different country?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Just pretend you don't speak English.
Just jump into Canterbury Tales. Wanda Rapro with the shora sota.
I had a friend tell me that she had to go to a company party, and she didn't want to have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And it also wasn't dress up, but she wanted to go as a clown. Just to upset people, but she didn't want to talk to anybody. So I said, just go instead of a clown, go as a mime. Mm-hmm. And then I said, that way you can't talk, and just flip people off. And then when they ask, it's like, I'm a mime with Tourette's.
Mm-hmm, right.
Exactly,
constantly,
which was actually one of the biggest arguments that ever happened on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
I've always stayed out of that, but it just became a thing.
Really?
It did, because one of my friends, their kid, I did not know, had Tourette's.
Yeah.
But so it was like, are you making fun? It's like, I'm not. And I'm not talking about Tourette's with the tics or anything. I'm talking about the funny Bill Murray, what about Bob Tourette's, where he swears a lot.
Right.
But the joke was totally lost. But
Yeah.
so that was her thing. Just pretend you're a mime.
Right.
Pretend you're deaf. My dad never had any issues because he could just sit there and he had no clue.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably why he liked people and being around people as much as he did, because it's like he had no clue.
Yeah.
He'd just sit there and smile and be like, whatever.
He's more like, I'm warmer now. There's more people in the room. That's great.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah, he didn't have to deal with any of that. But
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know. I think it's a Southern thing, but the older I get, the more it irritates me, because I find myself, for whatever reason, in a hurry.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because I'm at work and I'm busy, and it's like, I just, to the point. What are you asking me?
Right.
And then let's see how Steve handles his phone call. He's stepping out. Maybe he'll make small talk.
Maybe he will. I'm sure he will.
Probably. He's a good guy.
He is a good guy. Steve's a great guy.
He's what was it he called himself? An angry
old guy
white,
with a gun.
Yes. I think old white man.
Yeah.
We can talk about stereotypes at some point.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Am I off on this? Am I just a dick?
No. I think small talk is definitely something that can be an annoyance. I think I'm okay with it sometimes. It just depends. Like if I'm in a area, I do it sometimes. I'm guilty of it because I am a sales guy. If I'm in the line for something that I'm excited for, like a movie that I'm trying to see, or a sporting event, or something like that, or a concert, I'll make small talk because I'm standing there doing nothing, and a lot of people are typically on their phones and just kind of in their own universe. But I start small talk by saying things to myself, and then if someone else chimes in, then they'll, then it becomes a conversation.
I've kind of done that too. I actually use that to meet girls.
Yeah.
I'll kind of say something kind of quippish, and then if they laugh, then it's like, all right, that worked.
Yep.
There is a difference, though, between small talk and conversation. And I think sometimes in shops, small talk leads to conversation. But like you said, sports. Yeah. That can be an actual conversation because you have that in common.
Right.
As opposed to just, hey, so, how do you like your car? Just anything weird like that. But I think if it's a shared interest, like with cigars,
right,
or when we're all sitting in a cigar shop,
yep,
you can have that common conversation.
Yeah, and then there's the small talk. Small talk you don't want, which it's happened a lot this year with the election. It's
the politics.
What about the election? What do you think about that whole election thing?
And it's a buzzkill. And some guys just eat it up. Some guys are more political than I am, probably more political than you. Where it's like they want to talk about it. They get amped up about it. They want to talk about their candidate. They want to talk about the positions. They want to, and it leaves me cold because it's like I don't care. I'm not going to jump into the middle of this and take a side. I disagree with your points.
Right.
But, what hill do you want to die on? Is it worth getting into a discussion with a bunch of people over something that's not going to change anybody's mind? You're not having a debate. Right. You're not, going to influence anybody. It's just both of you sharing your opinions at the same time and trying to counter the other guy. But it's not for a purpose of change, just basically to get yours out there.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't vote for either of them. So.
Yeah. It's almost like you're letting off steam in a small way.
Yeah.
It's like you've opened that little valve. There's a slight steam coming through, and then someone else has the ability to open it up and let it all come out. And then it becomes a conversation, but it's not necessarily the conversation you want to have.
One of the funnest things to do in a cigar shop, and again, you got to do the math, find out how many guys are there. But whenever the conversation turns to anything political or anything conservative like that, just say, statistically, 1 out of every 10 men are gay, and then leave and watch them start counting how many guys are in the room. And be like, wait a minute, okay, pretty sure it's not me. So wait, one of these other 9 guys. It's just fun to watch the eyes all of a sudden. Like, wait a minute, which one of these guys is it?
What's his name? Always does pat people on the ass, but he is a coach.
Yeah,
he might
exactly.
Get a pass on that one.
It's like, wait a minute. Yeah. What I would love if the guy's like, wait, is it me?
Right.
But that's just one of those fun things you can do to just break up the monotony.
Oh yeah.
In a cigar shop.
Yep. That's George Carlin had a thing about small talk. It's like people ask you that question, how are you doing today? Fine. Bullshit. Hair is fine. People ask me that question, I try and confuse them. I say I'm moderately neato. Not at all unwell, thank you.
I can always tell when I'm giving a standard pat response because somebody will be like, how are you? And I'll say, well. Mm-hmm. And I remember I had a boss, and he was like, anytime an employee sees you and they ask how things are, you're never anything other than well, excellent, great, fantastic. Everything's always going great for you. Like, really?
Right.
I mean, the company was very image conscious, and that was the thing. You as a manager always had to be, doing fantastic. Mm-hmm. So nothing else was allowed. So I can tell somebody like, "How are you?" and I'll be like, "I'm great." I'm like, "No, I'm not. Wait a minute."
Yeah.
It's like, how am I going to answer this?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm all right.
It's almost become almost like one of those responses, like when a dog sees another dog and they bark at each other. Or
right.
It's just like, "How you doing? How are you doing?" And that's it.
That's it. Nobody answers it. It's just like, "How are you? How are you?"
Yeah, exactly. No one ever answers.
Typically, I'll be if it's somebody I know, I'm kind of usually my answer is like, eh.
Yeah. Right.
Which is kind of like, I'm not dead.
Right.
But, I'm not dead and I ate, so.
Right. Exactly. I woke up, I have another day ahead of me. And then you get the religious person going, have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. People make that to be such a great sentiment. Tell that to somebody who's depressed.
Right.
Today's the first day, like, oh, God. Yeah, it's not
even more depressed.
Yeah, it's not really that cheery a statement.
Right.
I guess it's supposed to be like, look, you can start over. Every day is fresh. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, It is, but that doesn't mean I don't have carryover of shit from yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah. You never know. You never know what that's gonna. And that's the thing too. Is it's by doing that you are now, even though it's a slight bit of pressure, putting pressure on someone else to have a correct answer. Like, how are you doing today, man? The guy goes, you know what? I'm great, man. My kids are doing great. Nobody's sick. I got $40 on a lottery ticket. Everything's great. And you got one or two responses. You can go like, that's awesome, man. Or you can be, you're a dick. You know what? Fuck you. I have a horrible day right now.
Exactly.
It's just, you got one or two ways you're going to go with that.
It's like, great. Now I feel really bad about my day.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, well, my dog got hit by a car. My wife left me. I think I have colon cancer. So,
right.
But again, those are not things somebody wants to hear. Hence, I think maybe that's where the small talk. So it's just like, I can talk about the weather in my car so I don't have to tell them that, my kid's an IV drug user.
You're dying inside. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And because there's always that cover. I don't know. Maybe it's just that facade that we put on to leave the house, the mask that we put on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a big part of it, yeah. I think there's definitely a mask you wear when you're out and a mask you take off when you get home.
Sure, and hopefully your friends get to see you without that at some point. I think there's probably to some extent, everybody has a friend who only sees them with the mask.
Right.
That you probably wouldn't be friends without the mask.
Yeah. There's some people that want them to put the mask back on. It's like, you can stop talking now. I'm tired of hearing about your problems. But, yeah.
There's a difference between, sharing because you got something on your mind and just
unloading.
It's always this woe is me. And I've tried to walk that line.
Yeah.
Because I realized over the last year when I get asked that question, it's like, well, I could really answer that in detail, or it's like, I'm going to bullet point this because this could go on, and I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
So I've tried to...
Good friendships are a give and take, and you have that moment when you can vent and I can vent as well, and we maybe help each other with some solutions, or maybe you just need an ear.
Exactly. Depends. Well, and I got to shrink, so...
Right. Oh, there you go.
That works.
Yeah.
I honestly, you always get the, hey, call anytime. It's like, I would feel too guilty.
Right.
I really would. It'd be like, look, I'm sitting here with a bottle of pills and a bottle of Jack Daniels at 3 a.m. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to wake them.
Put your hands together, man. It's a good time.
It's see, that would be my thing. It'd be like, let them sleep.
Right.
I don't want to, like, no, seriously, if anything's ever that bad, like, yeah, but you need to sleep. Don't worry about me. I'll do what I do. And like, no, seriously. No,
right.
No. We'll talk tomorrow. If I make it till tomorrow, we'll talk tomorrow when you're awake. If you don't have anything going on. I know, this is what goes through my mind. I'm that. It's like there I am, at your lowest, and it's like, but I want to be considerate.
Right.
You don't want to be rude about it.
Right. If only he had called, like he said he was.
Yeah, exactly.
He knew you were sleeping. Oh, okay. Well, that was nice of him.
I was like, well, that was very considerate. Oh, this is going to be horrible. I used to have this habit when I had an answering machine. When I had a landline phone, I would turn the answering machine off at night because I figure anything that happens at night, I don't need to know about. I don't.
Right.
It'll wait till morning. And one weekend, I swear, I woke up and I had 3 messages telling me my mom died.
Oh.
And I was like, huh. It's like, well, what do you know? And they all came early in the morning, so I was like, man, glad I slept.
Right.
And it was funny because they were all so different because my brother was a lot of small talk prior to that. Like, so I hope you're sitting down. I don't know how to say this. So it's like, okay, you're building it up. And then he gets to it and he's like, mom's passed away. And then a buddy of mine actually called because somehow he heard before I did. And just he was a little more to the point, but again,
right.
very, your mom's passed away. And then my sister called and it was give me a call. We're going to be heading to El Paso. Mom died. And I'm like, thank you. She died. She didn't pass away. She didn't expire. Mom died.
Right.
And she was just more direct and to the point. Like, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Mm. Then I called and it's like, so I guess we're going to go to El Paso.
Yeah.
But it was just, again, like, see, I didn't need to wake up for that.
There's
I wasn't going to bring my mom back.
And that brings a point that there's different kinds of small talk. Because there's the apologetic small talk that you're mentioning is that everybody says it, and I think it's lost its usefulness and it's lost its meaning. Anytime anything bad happens, you lose a family member, you lose a pet, I'm sorry for your loss. It's such a pat, small talk way of saying that if something happens on Facebook, someone posts it, you see 20 responses just like that. I'm sorry for your loss. And I make it a point to say, hey, that really sucks. If you need someone to talk to, call me. Or, that happened to me recently. If you're in a bad spot, give me a call or something. But most people, it's almost like a cut and paste response.
Sure.
And that's, the worst kind of small
and
talk.
I started thinking, filtering it through, I think, and I say by being more selfish, I've become a better friend.
Yeah.
Which sounds odd, but I kind of filter things through the me prism. Like, what would I want somebody to say at that moment? Like when my dad died, what did I want to hear? And I didn't want to hear, I'm sorry for your loss. He was a great guy. I didn't want you to say anything. Mm-hmm. Just stand there.
Right.
Just be here, be present. That's all I need. You don't have to pretend or, oh my God, he meant so much. It's like, I'm grieving. I'm grieving. Mm-hmm. Just be here with me. And so that's what I've done. The few funerals I've attended, or when a friend has lost a family member, I don't say, wow, hey, I'm sorry. It's just, I'm just there. And just like, okay, it's, like, can I, if you need anything.
Yeah.
But I'll leave it at that.
Right.
It's like, if you want a hug, give me a hug. But otherwise, I'm going to be here just to let you know I support you. But I'm not going to be in your hair and like, hey, feelings, it's okay. They're in a better place. Which I think is one of the rudest fucking things you can say to a human being.
Right. They're
in a better place. And I find this, especially to a grieving parent, God needed another little angel.
Yeah.
Like, wait, so now God's the bad guy because he killed my kid because he wanted an angel? It's like, that's actually really rude.
Right.
That's no comfort.
Yeah.
These people have lost a child. There's nothing you can say. Mm-hmm. But again, it freaks us out because it's like, I need to be able to say something to fix this. It's like, you can't. There is no words. Let them grieve.
Yeah. I thought that if I I told my wife this, we went to a funeral recently. One of her uncles passed. And I've seen this more and more at funerals. And actually, I've seen it all. Every funeral I've been to has pretty much been like this, where they have the one person that does the eulogy. And I've seen this more often now than before, where they have someone that's not part of the family do the eulogy. Because people can get up there and just blubber and they say really nothing. They can go up there with a speech, handwritten, 15 pages, whatever, and just get through the first 2 lines and just break down and nothing happens. And everybody's crying in the room, and it's really not good for anybody. I mean, the cry is probably good, but whatever. But the last couple I've been to have had, a pastor that was part of the, that was there for the family for a long time, and he would, say these stories that he's heard, and these are some things that I had experiences with this person, and it seems to be kind of a way to kind of gloss over everything and kind of take emotion out of it. But then when at the end of it, when they always say, now if anybody from the family wants to come up and speak, now's your time. No one said anything. No one stood up. No one went up there and talked. Right. I told my wife, I was like, when I have my funeral, number 1, I want to be cremated. Number 2, I want to hire a professional comedian, and I want the people to write their stories down.
Done.
Write their stories down and give them to that person, and that comedian can go through there and tell those stories in a funny way that makes everybody laugh. Because that makes sense to me. I mean, it's a celebration. It's not... they're celebrating life.
I'll be happy to do it.
Okay.
Free of charge.
Excellent. You're killing me off before you. That's nice.
And I'm older.
I don't want Brad Fisher because he can't tell a joke.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah, no Brad Fisher.
Maybe Fred Ruby.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'll submit a tape.
There you go.
It's like, here's my demo tape, Brandon. So, what do you think? Do I have the job when you're dead? Right. I should probably actually give it to your wife. So, I had to speak at my dad's funeral, which was not the plan. I planned on sitting there and blubbering, but it was done through the military. Right. And they screwed it up so badly that they had nobody from the Department of Navy out there to perform the ceremony. And they're like, well, we could get the Army out here. I'm like, oh, hell no. Right. I'm like, no. My dad, no, we're not having the Army here. So I actually had to get up and speak. And I was like, because I've always been kind of like the designated speaker for classroom or whatever. It's just, you go do it. And I wasn't prepared to. And I was just, I kind of just threw it together as best I could. And just, kind of just laid yourself bare. Like, I don't care how good this sounds, but I'm just going to be honest, and held it together. And then I was supposed to speak at my mom's funeral. But she pissed us off so bad the day before the funeral.
Wow.
That I said no.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird because she was dead, but she actually reached up from the grave and got one last shot in at all the kids, the whole family. Her best friend comes over, and Mom hadn't left any wishes, anything. So we don't know. We don't know what she wants. Best friend says she's going to come over. Like, great, she'll have Mom's final wishes. So she comes over and says, and there were a few things, your mom and I were close, blah, blah, blah. Few last things she wanted each of you to know. And that is that she was disappointed in each and every one of you. And then goes around the room.
Wow.
And picks us all off like a sniper.
My God.
And we're just like, damn. It's like, wow. So Mom left instructions for you to get one last dig in just after she's gone.
Balls.
It's like, you're thinking your mom's going to say something nice, like, I'm sorry we always fought, I loved you, you're my children. But no, just one last, you're a disappointment to me. Yeah. So at that point, I was like, I'm out. I'm like, I don't care who talks, it's not going to be me. And then my brother and sister got into an argument at the casket because deafness runs in the family. Yeah. So my dad brought a dozen roses. To have people put on the casket. So my dad's holding them at the casket, my brother and sister on either side, and I'm standing behind them, the youngest. So my dad's like, everybody put one. So my dad puts one. My sister is trying to get one out of the dozen to lay on there. And so is my brother. And so she's leaning over to him going, you're only supposed to put one. Don't put them all on there. Dad doesn't want to put them all. He goes, I know that. I'm trying to hold them for Dad. So he's sitting here trying to wrestle them out of my dad's hands. He's trying to pull them back, thinking my brother wants to put them all on the casket. Right. My sister scolded my brother. My dad doesn't know what's going on. Neither one of them can hear each other. And I'm just standing back there going, oh, God, please don't let me crack up too much. Right. Because I'm just laughing, going, this is so typical. Right. And so eventually my brother got the one out and then stood there, and then they just put them all on there. So it was a great, awkward funeral. It was fantastic.
Sounds like book material, man.
Oh, dude, my family's so dysfunctional, it's not even funny.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was it was like, this is so typical of us. So even at my dad's funeral, being screwed up like that, I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Mm-hmm. Welcome to El Paso.
Wow.
All right, so gonna leave you on that note. Yeah, it's fun. If you can't have fun with death, put the fun in funeral. I say.
I say that too, man. I totally think that, and that's why I always, the funeral part of it's a beat down, but then when you go after and you have the food and everybody talks and has a good time, that's when the stories come out. It's never, in front of the body or the whatever you call those things they put the ashes in, the urn.
The urn.
It's always the after.
The
thing.
best conversation, one of the best conversations my brother and I ever had with my father was the night after we had buried my mom, because he was just more himself. We sat at the table, people had brought a lot of food, having some beers, and Dad's just himself. Mm-hmm. And he's bringing out stories about when he was in the Navy, asking us about people we've dated. Mm-hmm. And it was like, wow, where was this guy? It's like we've never just related on this level.
Right, yeah.
And it was great. So there was some good to come out of it. It sucked for my dad, but it really kind of gave him a new lease, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's family, similar situation. My wife's mother was dying from cancer for years, and as long as I'd known her, when I first met her and asked for my wife's hand in marriage, she was a pretty happy-go-lucky person, good personality, outgoing, had a lot of friends. They did a lot of socializing with the neighbors in the area and stuff, and after church they'd all come hang out, drink a shit ton of beers because they're Catholic or whatever. And after we got married is when she got diagnosed, and from then on she was just the meanest, most awful person to everybody in her family, because she was hurting, and rather than let people help her, she just spit venom constantly.
Right.
And for that time, I mean, even when we had kids, was constantly berating the kids, and was like, God, they don't even want to be around their grandmother because all she does is bitch about them. Don't do that, don't do this.
Because the way she dealt with the anger was by taking it out
on everybody around her. Yeah. So it was kind of that same situation. Once she passed, I didn't see Pete at all for almost 10 years until she passed, and then he was like, hey, what's up? Let's go out. Let's have a good time.
Right.
That was after she passed, is when he took all of his daughters on a cruise. They all went and had a good time, reconnected. It was like I said, a whole new lease on life.
You're living well because you're living under a specter.
Yeah.
It's a cloud that constantly hangs over you.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be a relief.
Yeah, it definitely can.
Are we in danger of breaking into small talk during this episode?
I don't
as
think
we
so.
talk about small talk.
I
think
so.
It's been fascinating.
Yeah, I think we've kind of transcended that, but it's definitely out there. And I say the way you handle it is just be as awkward as possible, and it'll pretty much stop it in its tracks. That's what I do on occasion. My wife hates it when I do it, but I do it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure. I know the few times I've done it. I
get hit. I usually get hit by somebody. That's rude.
Yeah.
Like what?
I've gotten elbows in the ribs during weddings.
But you can always tell what kind of person it is too, because they'll react one of two ways. They'll either shut up and walk away,
right?
Or they'll be like,
the one person who gets it, and you're like, now you and I are best friends because you got it. And I find the same way with movie quotes. Movie quotes to me are like spy code.
Right.
Like when it's like, it's like the eagle flies at dawn, and then it's like the cheese stands alone. It's like, they know the password. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same when you do a movie quote, even if it's obscure.
Right.
That it's like, oh, you know that movie now. You and I are in the same club.
Right.
I said that to somebody the other day, and I won't tell you where, but I walked out and they're like, you look warm, and I'm like, yeah, it's from the Rick Darris collection. You get it? Okay. There you go. Kids, you got to go watch some movies or look it up. But nobody got it. And I'm like, all right, we're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
So you got it. And
you got it. I mean, at parties especially. Parties is like the death of small. I mean, small talk is all over at parties. You go to a party, especially my wife has these friends that she's acquired over time because I'm traveling a lot, and it's all like soccer moms and stuff in Frisco that all hang out. So she'll invite me to the occasional, Halloween party or Christmas party or whatever, and I'm surrounded by these people that I don't know, which is not fun for me. Unless I'm in a cigar shop, it's different. I've got someone to talk to at that point. And then you put the radar on. It's like you listen to the small talk and you kind of go from person to person. And you find someone that has that movie quote that or that has that topic that is somewhat interesting to you, and you kind of move that way, and then you either end up hanging out with those people and become friends, or you move on to the next group of people that are small talking. So
the last time I went to a Halloween party, some of my wife's friends, I went as Silent Bob. Nobody got it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I think the last time I dressed up, I went as Bender from Breakfast Club.
Nice.
And nobody got that. A couple of people did, but most people were like, "You always dress like that." So it was kind of it kind of threw them off because they're like, "How is this any different than how you normally look? Is that a costume?" Like, no, it kind of. Well, you're right. I didn't even have to go buy anything because I own all of this.
Right.
But those are the two
Yeah.
obscure costumes that I did. So again, it was a bonding moment. It's like, who's going to be my friend?
Right.
And really, I've landed on you.
Yeah.
Lucky bastard.
Well, I think we're one of the few. Well, I don't know. Do Kevin Smith fans like Mallrats? I think the fans like Mallrats, but it wasn't well
Yeah,
received.
the critics didn't really like Mallrats.
So
Chasing Amy and Clerks are his darlings.
Yeah.
Jersey Girl,
no.
nah.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Red State was okay.
Yeah, I thought Red State was entertaining.
I haven't seen Yoga Hosers. He said it's a kids movie.
I tried, man.
That bad?
It's bad.
That bad. See, I think the pot's not helping him. I really do.
No. And he did that Tusk one too, which was really bad. But
The premise was funny.
There's a scene in the middle of that movie that's worth watching.
Okay.
But other than that, it's just a bad movie.
In Tusk?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Tusk, yeah.
I celebrate his early catalog.
Yeah, there's a scene with Johnny Depp and
Justin Long.
Michael, what's his name? The older guy that was in. He's brought him back. He's been in a bunch of his movies lately. He was like an old West actor that he was in From Dusk Till Dawn. He was the sheriff in that.
Wow.
He's just this older actress, older actor that both him and Tarantino like, and they put him in stuff. I can't think of the guy's name, Michael something. But anyway, there's a scene with those two guys. He was the preacher in Red State.
That's not helping me, actually,
Yeah.
because I can't call his last name.
It's not Michael Wincott, I know that.
Michael Parks?
Michael Parks, there you go, yeah.
Okay, so
there's
now
a
you
scene-
told me the name, but I can't. Oh, him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a scene with him and Johnny Depp in Tusk that's very good. But other than that, yeah, the rest of the movie's pretty.
Well,
dark.
isn't Yoga Hosers supposed to be like a spinoff of Tusk or somehow
Yeah, it's
related?
that same universe of whatever.
Okay, I
weird
don't know.
stuff. Yeah,
I like more the View Askew.
yeah, me too.
Verse
me too.
that he
Yeah,
originally
I
did.
liked. I mean, and what was it? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was total fan service, but I enjoyed it. I still think. It's
Yeah,
fun.
no, it had some really good moments in it,
Yeah, it did.
but yeah, it's complete fan
Ben
service.
Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Win, Lord, wins my time. My favorite line that I still use, and again, not everybody gets it. Dude, I think I just filled the cup.
That's a great one. I always use a knife. What are we gonna have? Cake? Remember that when he gets Allie like pulls the knife on him? Oh, he got a knife. What are we gonna have? Cake? I love that line.
Dirty sheep fucker.
Right.
Yeah,
Fire warning shot into his bulbous ass.
there was there were a lot of good lines in that movie.
Yeah.
Hey, so if Kevin Smith fans are out there listening and they're like, hey, we want to hear more from these guys, where would they find us?
Oh, before we say that,
Yes.
have you listened to Fat Man on Batman at all? Have you ever listened to that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's in my list, but again,
Stone Kevin, yeah.
Stone Kevin's not my thing.
Yeah, I got you. I'm the same way. I'll get through half an episode and give up. But
Yeah, he's too repetitive.
yeah,
And he just starts laughing at all his own jokes.
agreed. But if you want to check out the rest of our shows, go to the Luna Podcast group on YouTube and check us out there. You can also go to the Luna Podcast group on Podomatic, or not Podomatic, Spreaker, sorry. Not Podomatic, Spreaker. And you can also check us out on iTunes and iHeartRadio.
We're the big time. We'll talk to you next week, kids.
Take care.